Back it up, back it in so I can begin. Back it up, back it in so I can begin.
That's that's Marvin, right, Brian?
Yeah.
He missed his calling.
You have no idea. Marvin's real quiet, but he's funny as all hell. So
it's the quiet ones that are sometimes the funniest.
Yes. And when they do actually open their mouths and it's something really good, it doesn't happen all the time. So it's even better.
Yeah.
But it's been a minute since we've done show on After Dark. Again, all my fault. So
I didn't even know if it was dark anymore.
Yeah, we were trying to do this every other weekend, right? And it just didn't work out with my new job. I tried. So we're gonna keep trying because I'm going to be switching jobs sooner rather than later.
Nice.
But I'm lucky that tonight I was able to. I thought tonight I might have to cancel because I might have had a job tonight even. So we'll see.
Ooh.
But yeah, it's been a major pain in my tuchus. Just can't get stuff done that I want to get done even too. So
yeah.
But I'm glad we got on. I've been looking forward to seeing Brian again.
Enough of the real world. Let's talk about the fake world.
Hi, Brian.
Right. So I don't have any topics. I just want to come on and talk good stuff. Really, that's the gist of tonight. Let's talk about one thing. Brian, are you doing anything to bring to Wonderfest?
Yeah, Brian, what the fuck?
I do nothing. I'm more of an armchair model builder. I'm a spectator and criticizer of all. No, I'm kidding.
Are you though?
No, I'm working on a few things to bring to Wonderfest. I'm not bringing my Rebel transport, of course. Jason's going to be doing that, and plus, I don't want to put mine next to his. That's I don't want to shame myself. No, I'm working on Nita's shuttle. So I've wanted to do a rendition of that for a while. So I'm playing around in that space, inspired by the old RPF war between Jason and Gene. And then
did Gene finish his?
I don't want to call Gene out, but I'm going to call Gene out.
I can't remember.
He sent me pictures as I was doing my exploratory. He sent me pictures of his parts.
Okay,
and so by that I mean model parts.
He still got it in the mix.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, it's still.
How many years ago is that?
Chris, this isn't about years. I mean, this is model building. It's 1 inch at a time.
It's not
1 inch at a time.
1 inch at a time. It's not the years; it's the mileage.
That's talking about the tax on the body.
Right.
But hey, real quick, and I want to call out. I'm also working on the time machine build. My last component should be arriving in the next couple of days, so that will be happening. And
I just
encouraging everyone else to join on that. I'm really excited about the time machine mashup challenge this year.
Me too.
I haven't seen too many people's projects yet.
There's a lot of couple Pete's out there.
I'm hoping that everybody's going to show up with one. If we get 5, I'll be sad and disappointed. We kind of didn't see a lot with the shuttle, and then there were a shit ton of shuttles.
They kept showing up every day.
Yeah. So I don't know. Whatever happens. This one, I feel like we're learning, we're growing every year. I will say that we already have next year's concept locked and loaded, and I even have a logo for it. We will announce it at Wonderfest, and it may be a little easier and more inclusive, which we're totally cognizant of. So we'll see maybe if that, this is going to be an interesting year because we have graduated. I'm going to say graduated from the B Hall. We were moved from the B Hall to the B Hole. to a separate room, and we've been given 2 rooms, and there's a front room and a back room. So we're sort of branding those, and it's all uncharted territory. And rather than panic and be like, "Oh God," we are excited. So this is going to be a definite transition year, but it just keeps growing despite our best efforts. I mean, like, there's never been a plan. It literally started with me coming to Wonderfest like 20 years ago and just throwing shit into the contest only because I wanted people to see stuff that I was working on or making. And then a friend who had been a Wonderfest participant longer than me, clearly, because it was my first one, sort of brought me aside and was like, "Hey, just a heads up. You're kind of a professional because, you're working for Master Replicas. It's a little déclassé to some people if you are a pro and you're entering into the contest." And
you're like, sandbagging them.
Fair point. Yeah. And they had sort of like a side table for like people who wanted to show their shit but didn't want to be judged. And I'm like, fine, I don't need a medal, whatever. I just want to throw my thing on the table and go like, "Hey,
I want to be seen."
I wanted, and
either.
I know people judge me anyway, so it's fine. And so that kind of grew. They gave us a corner, which was amazing and awesome. And then our corner turned into like a corner and a half. And then the contest was growing. And at some point they were like, "How about we just throw you in the B room?" Which I feel like that was kind of a new thing. Because they had like walled it off after one of the renovations or whatever. And so that started growing. And then last year was kind of a tipping point, I felt like, and Tested coming in sort of exploded it. So we're at like a really exciting, I feel like it's really exciting point where we've got this like showcase of, Bill George shows up every year with amazing models.
Right.
And I'm just like, holy fuck.
If you ever want to be humbled, just put your model next to one of his.
Bill's.
Yeah.
But like,
I love his shuttle with the Gilligan's Island one. That was awesome.
There's so much. Yeah. I mean, like, it's just so inspiring.
Yeah.
So,
when I came down.
Yeah. It's
when I came down, I really didn't know like what to expect. I brought some pieces down, and I didn't really even want to put them in the contest at all. I didn't want to like impose on the space. So I brought things down. I didn't even bring them down to the room. I had them up in my room for a while. Some things never made it down there.
Let's be clear. Chris filled up his entire car.
I know.
I did.
His and other people's models.
I did. Yeah.
Let's see what sticks here.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. If they would have stayed in the car, it would have been fine. I didn't know what to expect, but
well, I would have stolen it if it stayed in your car. I mean,
and it's
a broken window and all.
My car was full. I had Slave One sitting on my passenger side, seat belted in, like around the armature. Yeah,
fantastic. It's a very interesting like time of year too, because it's February 4th. So all the people that have been like, Wonderfest is next year. Like a month has to go by before everybody's like, "Oh God, Wonderfest is this year. Wonderfest is 4 months away." We're going to see a lot of flurry of activity. And last year, as you know, I was very concerned that we were going to like fill up the tables and have to turn people. My nightmare scenario is that somebody's going to come with a model and we're going to have to turn somebody away. So in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, people like you, Chris, and me who bring like 8 models or whatever, like have I would like to think flexibility that if some guy comes with one thing, I can pull something out.
Yeah.
Represented. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's a great problem to have,
Yeah. But, I never think to myself, I've got to have all my stuff out. Like I would have been happy with just like, would just been ecstatic just to have one thing out, like it wouldn't have been. Yeah.
And I know I'm fast and like compulsive. So I hope that I haven't even started the tank, and I've got I got to finish Joseph's Macquarie Falcon, and that's not coming. So that's like a whole month's worth of work probably left. That's not even going to be Wonderfesty. But I also know myself, and I'm like, I could get a bunch of crap done, and have a pretty strong showing. And whatever happens, happens. I mean, there's always next year.
Yeah,
I perversely still have a little bit of a backlog from COVID. I have the stair car from Arrested Development that's never somehow made it, which I've been holding off. I would have brought it last year, but I also kind of want to do the Big Trouble in Little China truck and be like, have the year of like movie trucks.
Right.
So I don't know, whatever.
As far as I know, I'm bringing down the Sandcrawler finished.
Nice.
And the sail barge.
That's
so
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's those
And your
are.
pressure.
Okay, so if I finish my Hoth tank, bring your Hoth tank. If I
Yeah,
don't,
I'm gonna bring it. I'm gonna bring it just to race you. I don't.
What
we
if
don't-
if I don't finish, you want to
Great.
put it off till next year?
I don't care. That's fine.
All right.
Yeah, that's fine by me.
Cool.
I don't know. I think Jason's like
I
trying
can
to come
do
up
it in a couple
with
weeks.
not finished things.
He's dodging. He's dodging.
I'm not
He knows.
dodging. I'm
He
just
knows
trying
he's gonna get whooped on.
to get dicks. I'm just trying to be realistic with my time. But like, okay, so like I'm working on the pyro-ish X-wing pattern. Like here's a thrilling sneak peek from today. These are the spacers for there will be the top, the bottom plates, and then I fill in the stuff. But this defines the taper. So this is like the meat of the inside of the wing. So it's like fatter here, and it goes to a point. So exciting.
Nice.
But I also, because kind of like those Bespin buildings I've been working on, which are on my Patreon, shameless plug, I've been making these Bespin buildings in a smaller scale than ILM built. I had done that giant Bomar Monk. I'm looking at it while I'm trying to recall the name. And there's a Joe Johnson sketch of the Bomar Monk, which I just sort of threw together, so imagine the little globe with the brain in it, and it's kind of it's just a different version of it. So this will absolutely be done because like it just happens in the background. I like to have like 5 or 6 things going at the same time. So when I have like an extra like strawberry sized ball of epoxy sculpt that I overmixed, I don't want to waste it. So I can like use it here, for all of the sort of like rubber boots.
How many different versions are there of the Bomar Monk? I mean, there's the
Two,
kit, the maquette, and then
there's
real
the
one.
Yeah, there's the maquette and the real one, but then if you look at the
concept
books, there's that concept sketch.
Yeah,
I had drawn last year, and then I thought, and I printed it last year, and it just sat. The parts just sat in a box, and then I thought, okay, that's something I can, again, just sort of noise in the background, slowly bring together. And it's over-engineered. There's steel rods going through each of the legs, so it can hold more weight than it will.
I won't be bringing a time machine down. I had planned on doing the Probe Joy Pod.
Yeah.
But somehow, some way, I accidentally didn't order the other 4 somehow.
Yeah.
So, and then I sold the one. So I won't be doing. I won't be doing that one. And I don't know that I have the time to work on it either. So
yeah, a couple of people have backed out. That's what that's what I mean by like the reality of February hits and people look at their.
Well, you're the reason why I almost had a little panic mode like a couple weeks ago. You put up one day, you're like, only 4 more months till Wonderfest.
I do that for a reason, and not to be an asshole, but I'm like, guys, just a reminder.
Yeah. Well,
nobody wants to rush their little baby or whatever.
Yeah, I was messing with the Slave 1 for a while, and I was like, you know what? I just don't have time to work on both. I just put the Slave 1 down, started completely going to the sail barge, something different to bring. So
it's fine. I mean, I finished the Idol one. I've got the Volkswagen one. I think I'll be able to do the Volkswagen one in time because it's pretty. I've done all the conceptual crap, and now it's just
now. Does Norm get in touch with you and plan to come down there? Do you plan it out? Yeah. You just show, or you get kind of have a talking point where you guys talk about what's going to happen down there or anything, or does he just show up and
he's like, hey, I'll see you at the show, and I'm like, cool, man. And then
okay,
yeah.
And how many years has he been coming down there now?
Only 2.
Oh, really,
Brian?
Yeah, just 2.
Yeah.
That's
so
a pretty.
Hopefully he makes it so this will be the 3rd year.
Where can I take a look?
That's the plan, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Captain Crusade 22 asked, where can I take a look at your Death Star crane completed? My Death Star crane was the very first one made, and for that reason, it's not right. I had to make some stuff up because I literally did it from a frame grab. There were no photos, and then I met Chris Cassidy afterwards, and he had taken some pictures, and I have some more pictures now. And yeah, I have seen a photograph of the crane half destroyed on a shelf, probably from late '76. So I don't think that model still exists. It was probably thrown away because why would they keep it? It looks like it was dropped or something. It's like all fucked up. But
doesn't show anything.
I'll post pictures of my crane to Nerf Herder tomorrow, with the caveat I made some stuff up because we just didn't have a clear view of it at the time.
I'll throw the one John made up to that I have. I bought his.
More accurate because I think he built his after Chris Cassidy. Chris Cassidy took a fantastic photo of like a side view of it.
Right.
Yeah. So
did you ever build a silo?
No, I've got all the parts to build a silo. I just had been waiting for better pictures to come out. The silo, making a second crane. There's things that I've been just waiting, hoping that more pictures would show. And the silo's one of those where I'm like, and the deflection tower
that I want.
I was sure that the second I finished mastering the ion cannon pattern, that somebody would be like, "Oh, I've got pictures of that," and then I'd be like, "God damn it," And pictures still haven't surfaced. So Empire is a different kettle of fish. I feel like
it's pretty crazy to me that they took that silo and threw it on a backpack exactly as it is. Like, because you can see some of the pictures with Joe Johnson, and you can see some of the C-Lab parts in between. Like, they literally just took it and behind your back.
Gaffer taped it to his back.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, without changing it whatsoever. Yeah, I like that silo a lot.
The silo is cool. Yeah, I've got, only because of Craig Underwood IDing everything, but I've got that whole back wall for the Death Star tower. There's the turret, the hero one. They built like a fascia to make it look like the side of the Death Star trench. And it's got a whole bunch of shit on it. And you can see it right there looming in the background. Like, it's enormous. But that's something that I could absolutely build right now, but waiting to move, because at some point my wife and I want to move north.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not going to start building this insane nonsense if I know I have to like pack it. So
if you're going to do a silo in all kit parts, you need 4 C-Labs.
Mm-hmm. I have 5 C-Labs.
It's crazy.
And I used all the parts for the what do you call it? Escape pod. So that, like, I'm excited that Steve Iverson's going to be coming out with a re-engineered styrene version of it. Even if it's not 100%, I'm at the tender age of 51 now, like, close enough. Fuck it.
Right.
Do we know what the timeline is on that? Like, has there been an update?
I haven't talked to him in a month or two. He was hoping end of last year, but I mean, the world being what it is, who knows? So I'll touch base with him and see when he reckons.
That was unleashed. That was first advertised 2 Wonderfests ago, right?
But it's a titanic amount of work, and I'm very grateful that he looped me in on the whole thing, because I've been kind of the like, well, actually, nerd, the whole time with it. And I've been given, I've been given the initial 3D printed test shot, which was pretty off, and then an actual styrene test shot, and then we had notes. And the second styrene test shot is pretty fucking cool. Yeah. It's really weird and surreal to have a styrene sprue of C-Lab parts in a completely foreign sort of arrangement.
Yeah,
it's just like I was, and in a like a sort of random color too. But
well, what color are they doing? They're doing white, or is it?
No, I think they plan to do the orange.
Okay.
I've said to everybody from the beginning, dial in your expectations. It's not going to have the raised numbers. It's
Right.
not going to have the same ejector pin marks because technology has changed. But everyone has worked extremely hard to make sure that the nerds who don't want to build a C Lab, who want to build Star Wars shit, will be happy. Like there were parts that were combined, there were parts that were slightly different, and I'm like, you can't. It's up to you guys. If you change it, you might lose sales because you're going
to lose a lot of sales.
I'm going to buy like cases of them because you need. I think ILM had 11 or 12. But like case of 6, that's 2 cases, and then you're good forever. But everybody's going to buy more because they're going to want to use it for.
How many actual like C Lab modelers are going to buy this thing? Like, is there really a draw for that?
Yeah, there's going to be
maybe like 10.
Nostalgia.
No, I think a couple. I think there's a couple hundred. Like
okay,
Aurora,
couple hundred.
There's a whole scene we don't. As much as they're like weird about us, there's guys that collect model kits and I
feel like that's probably not something that's like high on people's lists.
Maybe, but like
between the 3 of us, we'll probably buy a couple hundred.
I mean, I've said from the beginning, like if you do it close enough that like, there's always going to be a handful of guys that are like harumph no matter what you do.
Yeah, but I'm the close enough market. You're the close enough market, right?
So it's 99% of our hobby is 97% of our hobby is the close enough market. And we're gonna buy cases of that shit. Yeah.
Because the real one costs like $300-400. So
the real one costs like $1,500. Like if I find a C Lab for $400 and it's vintage, I'll still buy it. But like
I've gotten a couple for that price.
Or $900. Yeah, I mean like
yeah.
But if it's $80, $70,
oh yeah,
every day I'm hand over fist, and I feel like the C Lab, the 148th Bondi Panther G, and probably the Centurion are the 3 assholes in the Star Wars universe where you're just like, and the Panther G is especially like hurtful. Only because I think it was Craig who said you need literally like you need like 20 or 25 of them if you're going to build everything. Like you need 16 just for the Star Destroyer.
Guess what?
Soul crushing.
Just so you know, how many? Just so you know, Marvin, John, and I have been talking about the Star Destroyer.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to tell us that you had like 30 Panther Gs, and I was like, no.
I have 11. I have 11. That's enough for me.
I probably have. I don't think I've got many more than that. I mean, 16.
I can't. But I physically can't buy anymore.
I might have the 20 something now that I'm thinking about it because I just in the past couple of years was given 8. Not given, but I bought 8 all in a row.
I took it off of my eBay search list just because I don't want to be tempted at all anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like the good thing is the slow burn, Sidebar, let's talk about that Star Destroyer offline privately. I have something that Marvin especially may want. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, well, we've already Marvin.
Are we talking 3-foot A New Hope Star Destroyer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have something that
handy. John and I watched Michael Hawes's video with Sean Sides. That's his name. And I really didn't have much drive to do it. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, you know what? That's really cool. So I wrote in a little group that we have like, hey, let's build this. And John's like, I'm in. And Marvin's like, let's do it. And then Marvin says, well, let's do the transport first because we're gonna pull those back, form those shells.
Are you really?
Cool. Yeah, we're still gonna do that. Yeah,
I'll probably if you guys actually pull it off, I'd like to buy a set just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. That 3D. We talked about that 3D.
The buck.
negative space. Yeah, the buck.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's
hashtag glutton for punishment.
yeah, I know.
I have this dumb illusion that in my 70s I'll build a second one or whatever.
You know what? As soon as I'm done with this, I will not look back. I
Good
am
for
not
you.
going to go, oh, I need to do this again.
Do you want to
I'm
know what the
good.
stupid thing is that makes me want to do the vac form? Is the little lip on the styrene that they didn't file away.
Nope.
That's the one thing in all those pictures that is like, I want that. Like, I want that raw, uncut.
I commend
filed.
your insanity, but dude, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I question your sanity, so it's okay.
It's okay. My wife does every day, so it's okay.
Look, we wouldn't be doing this if we were normal. None of us are doing this because we're considered normal.
No.
It's just a fun diversion, kind of.
It is. The funny thing is, like, I say this all the time to like John and well, I don't say it to my wife, but you know, I'll drop a couple hundred on a kit, but then I'll like look at a t-shirt and be like, oh, that's $15. I'm not spending $15 on that. Or, you know, like my kid needs new brakes, and I'm like, God damn it, I gotta spend $500 on brakes, but here's $1,500 for this. You know, like it's totally different.
I did bat an eye on my recent Plastrect order just for the Rebel transport, right?
I quit my 9-to-5 over slightly a year and a month ago, and I am completely whatever I spend on the hobby, I have to
None of my income goes into the hobby.
Yeah, none of my income goes into the
Zero.
hobby. It never did, but like even especially now, like there were a couple those last couple of years where I was working, you know, for the man. I had a lot more walking around pocket change, and I spent it on, I spent it on my friends 3D designing heads and, you know, like that kind of stuff. Like still investing in the hobby, but now that I'm like very lean with that stuff, like I spend my money.
TJ, I'm with you. By the way, TJ, I'm totally with you. It's a distraction.
Keeps awful everything is. Yeah. Yeah. I spend it on model shit and carry out Thai food. That's like practically all of it. Like I have enough sweaters for the next 10 years. Like I occasionally buy a t-shirt, but like I don't spend my like fun money on anything anymore.
No.
Like I'll save up for Wonderfest and I'll save up for like an LA trip every year.
My wife has started to notice like
and bourbon. Sorry.
My wife has started to notice like that these models are worth something when I sell them, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, how about let's pay for a trip to Aruba? I'm like, no, that's my model stuff. Like, I'm not paying for a trip to Aruba out of my model stuff. Like, hell no.
It has been 15 years since our last Japanese trip, but I used to fund 75% of a 2-week trip in Tokyo, which is not inexpensive, with model shit. Like back when I was young and dumb. But you know, like I've had my model like effort, sweat equity pay for a new couch, or like a, you know, house stuff in the past. It's very gratifying. But now that it, like, and you know,
it keeps it going.
Yeah, it's nice that it keeps the machine going, and I have like my 3D printer is a Formlabs printer, so you guys, you know, you're dropping a couple $100 on like these smaller little Elegoo things. I'm $3,500 on a Formlabs printer, and my resin's $150 a liter. Like it's insane. But
I would have a hard time printing a bunch of things if my
I've never
resin
had
was
a
that
failed
much.
print. In 7 years, I've never had a failed print, unless it's my fault. I have flown too close to the sun with like a tolerance or whatever, but it's kind of like I'm paying for the machine to get out of my way.
Yeah, you showed me a Bespin thing the other day, and you're like, "This never happens."
Yeah, and it was my fault. Like, Wait.
Well, you had told me.
My fault. That was my fault. Yeah.
You had actually told me, we talked about my printer problems before, and you're like, I never had a problem unless it's something I did wrong.
Yeah.
And
this just happened in the background. Like I
Right.
knew it would work. Like I pay out the nose for that to happen.
But then it turns out it was my fault because I had it too cold in my garage to make it work. And now that I brought it inside, and I have a special like enclosure to keep the fumes. It's like boom, 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 boom. Every print is fine.
Like 150 a liter. What resin are you using?
Yeah,
I'm using the Formlabs resin, and they guarantee it as a 40-year shelf life. That was the other thing. Like I had friends that were using whatever resin, and they said, like a year later, everything was cracking and falling apart. And I'm like, I can't, in good conscience, build a model, sell it for thousands of dollars to somebody if it has elements that are 3D printed that aren't going to last whatever. Yeah. And I had another friend say, well, I mean, what happens after 40 years or 30 years or whatever? And I'm like, dude, we're dead.
We're dead.
Fuck, who cares?
I got 40 years left.
Client doesn't. I don't. I mean, like, oh, their grandson's going to be sad. No one's going to give a shit about.
Nobody's going to care.
Yeah,
nobody's going to care. It's going to be. It's going to be thrown in a box.
Star Wars. Yeah, it's so funny. Mike Salzo and I, for the past 20 years, have had existential conversations about the hobby for all sorts of ranging, like over all sorts of aspects of it. And one of them was always like, oh God, like what's going to happen? And he always had a really funny, like, example. He goes, hey, all those Laurel and Hardy conventions that people go to? No, because they're all dead. And I'm like, yeah, but the difference is they're still making Star Wars shit, and they're making new Star Wars fans. There's not still Laurel and Hardy meets Beyonce, like that's a dead property. Star Wars is manufacturing new.
Well, it's not going to happen though.
But at some point there's a terminus.
It's not going to happen though. It doesn't matter how, like, our names are out there, right?
Yeah.
When we're gone, nobody's gonna be like, "Oh, this was a Chris Benware model he made." They're gonna be like, "Oh, this was made by Lauren Peterson." It's not gonna be. They're not gonna.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna give a shit that I built the model. Yeah. So,
I mean, I'm never hung up on like weird legacy, or I have a compulsion.
Unless you turn out to be a Van Gogh.
Sure. But you didn't know he was Van Gogh. He died, and then he was Van Gogh.
Then he was.
I do think of that though, Jason. I think of that in terms of my children. Like,
sure, I don't have kids.
Every model,
they're gonna give a shit.
Every model that I make, like, I know is gonna go to them, and they're gonna display it after I'm gone. Like that's as far as it goes. Lovely.
I mean, maybe my nephew and niece will, like something. Who knows? I'm fine with becoming like. I always joke with friends, like, here I am toiling away day after day, making these incredibly intricate, hopefully faithful and accurate models, and I get like at the most 600 likes, and that's usually it's in the 150 to 200 range or less. And then I see some guy making some fucking bullshit out of Lego, and it's got like 10.4K, likes, and I'm like, I can't be concerned with popularity. Like, that is a fool's errand. Like, I don't know if I told it on this conversation channel before, but like, there was I tell this little anecdote. Years ago, I was working in an office. I had like it was not a cubicle. It was more like a trough, like livestock. We had these little stalls, and they had a little thing of hay. I had a warm bulb. It was nice. I'm sitting at my desk, and I have my Y-wing, and it's a studio scale Nissen kit that I had replaced a whole bunch of shit off of because the casting was
awful. Awful. I'll say it.
It was all right. It was okay. It wasn't a Mike Salzo casting. But like I had scratch built a bunch of parts, but it was sort of at this transitional period where I wasn't really scratch building so much as just remaking shit and building confidence, where later I would just scratch build, from scratch. But people, like a client would come in, and I worked at the NIH. These were high functioning like weirdos, scientists, so they had like very analytical minds, but they were also fucking like, they're working and doing incredible stuff with no street smarts and no social skills. And God bless them, because we're kind of like that too, probably. So, guy comes in, he sees the Y-Wing, and he's like, oh, cool, Star Wars. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you actually recognize it. He's like, oh, cool, what's the deal with that? I was like, oh, I made it. And he kind of like raised his eyebrows. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, because of the internet, a bunch of nerds have banded together, and we have researched, identified all the original pieces that were pulled together like a jigsaw puzzle from all these different model kits, and built a faithful replica of what Industrial Light and Magic did to film. The guy's like, seriously? And I'm like, yeah, that's a Saturn V rocket. That's, off of a tank. That's a blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, oh, that's cool. Yeah. He's like, holy shit. And I'm like, I know, right? Total nerd child dream come true. This guy's like my age, so I can tell he's like, sort of processing it. He's like, oh, that's so awesome. He's like, how long did it take you? And I was like, not as long as you would think, only because so many people have done all this research. I'm just sort of, like coming at the end, putting it all together. But I built it. I painted it. I'm very proud. And he's like, that's great. That's awesome. And then he walks to the next cube where my coworker had a Lego Star Destroyer. And I don't see it happen, but I hear, oh my God, did you make that? And the guy's like, yeah, I made it with my son. He's like, how long did that take you? That must have taken forever. He's like, it was like 4 days. And they like, his level of excitement was like ratcheted up 100%, and here I am like flipping the table, like, motherfucker, like nothing matters. And then I very quickly realized he can wrap his brain around the Lego thing. He's not like, what I did is so far down a weird ass rabbit hole. Right. I cannot convey the ocean of data and heartache and obsessive, like
craziness,
detrimental compulsiveness and mentalness that it takes to make that thing. And so like I always kept that in mind. Like, it's not a popularity contest.
No. Speaking of that, like, we are almost to 1,000 members, and I honestly didn't think it would ever get that. Yeah, it's crazy to me. I honestly didn't think
like a little like. Do you get like the YouTube plaque you get to put up on the wall behind you or whatever?
1,000 member banner.
Don't know. I don't care. But
you get a scratch and sniff sticker that smells like natural gas.
I really just I never really chased after like numbers or likes or anything like that. I mean, it was just I never thought we'd get 1,000 members. I thought it would stay around 500 at the highest, because and I like that it's small because there's more people talking to each other. Like it's a pretty active group of people talking and helping, and I feel like if it gets too big, there's going to be too many like just people just watching from the outside. You know what I mean?
It's very communal. Yeah,
it is.
I gotta say, having been a member of the RPF since like 1998, and seeing like literal lives get ruined by internet insanity, what you have is very special.
Yeah,
nobody has threatened anyone's family. Like, well, Brian and I have seen some shit.
It's only the first year and a half. Let's not jinx it. Okay.
Still, I mean, like I don't see factions. I don't see festering. I don't see power grabs. Yeah. Maybe I'm naive, but no, I think everybody's pretty chill about it, and it's just so refreshing.
It is. It's nice. I always get worried though. Like I get friend requests, and I don't accept a lot of friend requests just because my personal page is just my kids and my wife, and I kind of worry that people might get upset with me about that. But if you're watching, that's the reason. Like, it's just my personal kids and stuff like that. So I don't.
And your Beanie Baby collection, which you keep very private.
I used to have. Yeah. Well, no,
your cuddle pictures. Yeah.
I didn't have it. My wife, my ex-wife had a Beanie Baby collection. So yeah.
Oh, your strawberry shortcake and Polly Pocket. Yeah.
Let me think. I've had a lot of. I do collect Game of Thrones swords.
Really?
Yeah.
Do they make replicas?
Yeah, they make replicas, real sword replicas from Game of Thrones, like Ice and Wolfsbane. I forget the names of them now. I haven't really looked at them. They're hanging up in my son's room.
This one's name is Charlie.
But I mean,
I don't know the names of any of the swords.
I used to be a collector. You know, I don't collect nearly I don't collect like I used to.
Look behind you.
I know, but like I was a collector. Like I collected figures and statues, and now I don't get any of that stuff. I just build, and that's the only thing that I spend my money on is $35, model kits.
Yeah. People are fascinated and confused when they realize I don't keep most of what I make. And they're like, how do you let that from the nest? And I'm like, that's a very interesting way to put it. Like, I've literally been asked it in that frame.
Yeah.
Like, that implies that it's my child. And I do feel that way a little bit, but also that's nature. Baby birds eventually fly out of the nest, and you have to understand that that's going to happen.
I'll be honest, it took me a while to when you and John told me that it doesn't matter to you after it's finished. Like, you'll sell it, and
it doesn't matter. It's that it's not precious.
Right. It's not something you're willing to let it go because you're about going into the next project. And it took me a while to understand that.
When I realized, I've said this ad nauseum, but there's like two revelations that literally changed my life in a lot of ways, how I mentally approached a lot of the stuff, like from a health point of view. The first was understanding that I like the journey, the build. It's about the making and the growing of the skill set. It's not about the dusting and the hack. That being said, I still do like that stuff. And the other one was realizing one day, I think I was hiking in the woods with my wife, and I sort of paused and was like, I have nothing to prove to myself or anyone else anymore. Like, I've gone so far past where I thought I could go that that's all gravy from now on. Right. And that's not to say that I'm not growing, because thank God there's people better than me that I see constantly, because the second I feel like I'm the best, I will feel despair, I
don't worry. I'm always ready to take you down a few notches.
And I love that about you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very, very new to this group, to this community, so like, I don't think I could ever get to that point where I think I'm like the best I could possibly be, because
never be the best.
I don't want to be
terrible. Yeah, it sounds so sad and awful.
Yeah, I mean, once you stop growing and stop learning, like, there's so much stuff I don't know. I don't know a lot. Like, I'll be honest, sometimes when I get on these shows, like, I'll be honest, the X-Wing show, especially, and even the Sandcrawler, like, I built my Sandcrawler. Well, like, okay, so I honestly don't know a lot. Like, I've been doing this very short amount of time, and I feel like sometimes I feel like I get on and I don't think I am even remotely knowledgeable as some of the other guys in this group. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm always.
I think everybody thinks Jason has all the answers. Like, he remembers all the kit parts, he remembers all the paint and all this other stuff. Like, so like, there's a bit of a facade here, right? Jason gives credit to all the people that have helped him on all these projects. It's like,
wild.
First, none of us can remember all this shit. No one should remember all this shit. And it's a lot of divide and conquer. I don't think you should ever feel out of place. I think, if anything, I think you were the most honest I've seen with a lot of builders recently with the Sandcrawler about the paint. And for me, that was just mind-blowing to watch that in real time. And there's a little bit of vulnerability, because on online, no one likes to show their imperfections. And Jason's like, my whole life is imperfection. But also somebody who's new to the scene, as you're kind of setting this up, wants to show success. And here you're showing, well, this got all effed up. And here I'm taking a step back, and you showed how you problem solved it. I love that part of your build. Out of everything, I mean, everything that I saw in your build, I love the painting piece, because you showed people how you problem solved. And we don't do enough of that, where we go, hey, we really screwed this up, and here's how we got where we got.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks it's perfect in the end. I
Yeah.
think there's this misnomer that people think things are perfect. And I think as someone, you're saying that you were fairly new, that's a substantial vulnerability. I don't think you give yourself enough credit for about how open you were and your artistic journey. It is incredible.
I appreciate that. I think thank you. I appreciate that.
And Brian, like, you remember, like, I was like, hey, Chris is coming to Wonderfest. And we were like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, like, and Mike was just like, oh fuck, oh god, you know, like the new blood, what's gonna happen? Like, we were all not nervous, but very like, let's just wait and see. And
it's
you showed up
to be here a year later. Yeah,
you were sort of at like an emotional disadvantage because you had just lost your dog, and like I could tell you were just sort of like 80% there emotionally. And it's like you were the you know, you're coming into high school. We're all juniors. We've been there since, you know, elementary school, and you just transferred from a different town. And
right.
You're like, hey man, like that's fucking hard.
Yeah,
and
it was.
you, like I feel like by the end of, was it Saturday that you showed up or Friday?
I showed up Wednesday or Thursday.
Thursday. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like, okay, whatever day it was, like, I feel like by the end of the second day, we were all kind of like, oh, fuck, cool. He's cool. You know, like, and like, I'm excited
about everybody.
Well, I mean, like, yeah. I mean, we are a cliquish little bitchy sewing circle.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little worried about coming down because I thought to myself, like, I don't know anybody, and you know, I knew you guys all friends.
We have internet reputations. I'm sure there were people like, Eaton's a fucking asshole, or that guy's all right, but he's weird. You know, like, you had all sorts of information that you had to like sift.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I remember you literally said to me, like, you guys are a lot cooler and nicer than I thought. And I was like, fuck. Like, that sucks. But at the same time, I'm glad.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just a bunch of goofballs. And I don't think that comes across necessarily.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, you can only show so much of yourself online. So, you know, like,
it's just a facet of your personality anyway.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, I was nervous. I didn't know anybody, and John bailed on me. So like he was kind of going to be my
John.
He was going to be my
this year, by the way, right? Like he's committed, or is he?
He's a maybe still.
Oh, come on, John. John, you're watching this tomorrow.
Look, you can attend the Cadbury Festival next year.
Yeah, he told me he's going to be
whatever
watching tomorrow,
English thing is happening.
So there are so many. There are so many people. There's so many people.
He's got family obligations, I'm sure. I mean,
he does.
Kidding aside,
he's got 4 young kids, and everybody needs to blast his instant messenger and say, "You better come to Wonderfest." Every single person in all 100.
John, no pressure.
All 1,000 people.
There's so much good barbecue, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kids are exhausting. Come to Wonderfest.
Yeah.
Well, I told my wife when I got back, I'm like, this is a yearly thing. I don't care what's happening. Every June, I'm going. I don't care what. I don't care if it's the last. If we're living on welfare, I'm going. So, like, yeah, you got to come, John.
Living in Van down by the river, still going to Wonderfest.
Look, I got terrifying news today that I'm probably going to need spinal surgery to fuse a vertebrae, and I broke the news to everybody, and more than one person was like, when? And I was like, after Wonderfest. And they were like, oh, okay. And I'm like, I'm literally, I mean, I have to do physical therapy first and maybe a couple like spinal injections. But so for insurance reasons, and because I really don't want to have spinal surgery if I can avoid it, it would happen in the summer. But like, my brain was like, well, I'm not going to fucking do it before the show. That's for damn sure.
No.
So it's an important show, important enough that I'm like, you know, I'll limp around if I have to.
For a millisecond, I was disappointed, and I was like immediately planning the T-shirt that says like I am Jason,
Mr. Glass, or
yeah, Mr. Glass,
Mr. Glass.
I have a cane, and my wife, God bless her, she's like, take your cane when like I'm going out to, you know, get a haircut or whatever. I'm like, I don't need it, and then I'm like, like holding onto things as I'm trying.
How old are you, Jason?
What?
How old are you?
I am 51, but I have
Okay.
osteoarthritis, and I had an MRI a month ago, and I just, I dragged my heels for a week or two and finally made the appointment to have the follow-up so the guy could look at it, and that was this morning. And he's scrolling through the MRI, and I'm seeing my, fucking broken body in 3 dimensions from front to back and from, like on the y-axis and the z-axis or whatever. And he's like, okay, right here, I have 4 herniated discs. The 5th one is borderline. And so the problem, though, turns out, like, the herniated discs just make my back hurt. And weight loss and physical therapy, strengthening my core, that'll fix all that shit. I've had that before in 2009. And that's a genetic thing.
Hold on a second. They okay. If you weigh like 400 pounds and you lose 300, 200 or so, that helps your back. I lost 30 pounds, 25 pounds, and my back still fucking hurts. Like,
well, we're also old, but
I'm 51 too. So like,
yeah. So the problem is so like, I do have back pain, like, just my back hurts. And he's like, that will all get better. However, I've had 6 hand surgeries and 2 foot surgeries for osteoarthritis growths, which just means my body likes to make extra shit in the joints. And on the L3 vertebrae, for all of you science people out there, there is a growth that's coming off of one of the pointy parts of the spine, and it's pinching a nerve that makes my right leg kind of go numb, and I feel like I'm just sort of unsteady on my feet. So I'm talking to him, and I'm in the bargaining phase of like the whole thing, like acceptance, all that shit, and I'm like, okay, so I could lose like 30 or 40 pounds, and that'll get better. He's like, losing weight won't make the bone go away. We're probably going to have to go in there, cut you, scoop out, cut the bone, fuse the thing. He's like, you won't lose mobility, but it's like 8 weeks in a brace and all that shit. And I'm like,
Jason,
I guess I'll get better at Rhino.
I'm going to interrupt you.
Sure. I'm done.
People don't want to hear about medical procedures.
People came in for shooting the ships, and they stayed
for shooting the ships, and we're talking about cutting bones and medical stuff.
Sorry. All right.
He's dealing with a lot, people.
I was watching.
With a lot.
I was watching the number of people, and all of a sudden it started dropping. No, I'm kidding. It's still the same, but it's funny. Is that something you bought or built?
Oh, I bought it.
Okay,
it's my little bubo.
Did you ever finish, Brian? Did you ever finish that that under ice Hoth piece?
Yes.
Ooh, I've been wanting to see that. I'll put you on main screen.
Ooh, I'm on the main screen. Here you go.
Yay. Nice. Awesome.
There you go.
Quincy just said I turned it into shooting the hips. Holy fucking
Quincy, join us if you can. Join us if you want. If you want to, I'll shoot you a link.
That's so good.
I love that, Brian. Yeah. Love that.
Was that in a cabinet languishing away?
Okay, I'm not going to get into the full story. It was.
No, moved. I talked about my health for like 5 minutes, please.
Yeah, no. So it was moved because I had guests at the house last weekend and didn't want anything to happen to it.
Okay.
And I just forgot to take it out, and I remembered that it was right down there.
You're not bringing that to Wonderfest?
No.
Brian likes to fly with his model.
Yeah. I have a bad history with Wonderfest and an expensive model. So I'm revisiting how I approach Wonderfest, which is all models that I can put in a suitcase and pack like Bill George does. By the way, I watched Bill George Packing 101 guide for models to go to Wonderfest, and it was inspiring, but it also let me understand like how I should build models to be able to pull them apart and pack them to be transported safely, when traveling specifically for Wonderfest. So that's how I'm looking at things now. So like the Nita shuttle's just gonna all pop apart. The time machine is a one solid piece, so it'll be fine. And if I bring the other little shuttle thing I'm playing around with, that will go into a simple box.
Okay.
Box within a box, that's the strategy.
I played like dominoes trying to get my stuff organized in there in certain ways to get all of it in, and not surprisingly, I didn't have any room left in my car when I came there.
I don't know where you put your clothes. I saw your car. I don't know where you put.
I wore the same thing for 3 days.
You're like, I just rolled it up and yeah.
I wore the same thing for 3 days, and I used my underwear as packing between the different, models. So
I can neither confirm nor deny that I have done that.
So Michael Janes on the group, he's local to Arizona. I keep meaning to reach out to him and do like a little meetup locally. But he's bringing his sandcrawler this year. That's his plan. So we'll have the battle of the sandcrawlers.
Is he driving?
He is driving.
I said that we were going to arrange them so they're kissing.
Yeah. And he offered. He said, "Hey, we should get together and maybe we drive out." And I was like, "Thank you, but that will never happen."
How far of a drive is that?
It's like 2 days.
2 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's like 10 or 11 hours for us.
Super kind. Yeah. Well, yeah.
I don't want to talk about my back anymore, but 10 hours is a lot at our age.
Yeah.
The last 3 days, I drove 24 hours and I was hurting. So
you must be wrecked.
I'm wrecked. Yeah, my body is hurting me. So yeah, the 10-hour drive down to Wonderfest actually I was dreading it, but it really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Did you do it by yourself?
Yeah, by myself.
If John doesn't come, are you doing it by yourself?
I am.
That's some bullshit.
Well, you get to drive through God's country, which
it's a nice drive too.
It is a nice drive.
It is. It's it's not like through cities. I didn't go through it. I think I went through one city and all just trees.
Yeah, from Baltimore, we go straight through to Frederick, Cumberland, through West Virginia. I'm assuming you're sort of a similar trajectory at a certain
I'm pretty much passing right by Baltimore. Yeah.
So you come down and then you go through the Cumberland.
Yep.
It's a lovely drive.
It is. It's
a weird drive too, because you're just like, it's like a good solid 8 hours of like, you'll see a house and you're like, where does this motherfucker work? Like, I don't see anything. Like, how?
Right.
Like,
there's
it's so weird. Like,
I drove home Sunday after the show too.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Well, I drive for a living, basically. So, I'm more of a driver than an electrician. But
are you listening to music, podcasts, like radio? What do you do?
Normally I used to listen to podcasts, but I can't do that anymore for some reason. But nowadays I talk to John and Aaron and Marvin on my drives all day. Like I'm talking to people all day long. I can't talk to people out of the car. I can talk to people in my car, and that's it.
Yeah. 15 years ago or more, when I was doing the initial Wonderfest drives, there was it was flip phones for one thing. So and service, you had no service for like 40% of the drive. It was awful. Yeah. It was crazy.
We know a friend, I'm not going to call this person out, who does a lot of driving across country. And he revealed that he does it in silence most of the time.
I do too a lot.
That really?
Yeah.
Oh,
that kind of creeped me out. No, we're not just talking.
This friend has a cat or cats too.
Right. I hope if he ever hears this that he's laughing. That I'm so unnerved.
If he doesn't hear it, I'm going to give him a link.
Yeah. Right.
Silence.
Yeah.
I do want.
That's interesting. I don't feel
because they asked, do you listen to books on tape, podcasts, music? Like, what are you listening to? And it was silent.
Well, I can understand that in the aspect that my home life is pretty chaotic because I have triplets and my wife has two other children. I have triplet boys. Yeah.
Holy shit.
And 2 dogs. Well, I had 4 dogs at the time.
They're all the same age.
Yeah, they're 21. Yeah, all three boys. Yeah. So like the silence in the car is golden sometimes.
Okay,
You know,
when they turned
That's a lot of
16,
energy.
were you like, how the hell am I gonna like?
luckily, my,
You get some go-karts?
Quincy's making sure, by the way, Quincy's off here on the side making sure that it's not him that we're referring to. Seeing that he has to have white noise at all times.
All right,
So
Quincy,
just
we
say,
know it's not you.
it is not Quincy that's driving.
let's just say I've had some luck in that regard. So yeah,
I do get that though. What
Yeah.
you're talking about, I
Oh,
understand.
you're supposed to say,
Conceptually.
"Fuck you, Quincy." Quincy, it's almost my bedtime.
Triplets the same age.
I do want to show something that I want to show the thumbnail that Aaron did.
Wait, we didn't even talk about the models. Oh my god.
No, we did. I mean, honestly, I really didn't like say we were gonna do listener projects tonight. But I told him, like, I was just joking when I sent him this picture of the plushie animal. You know, I said have it peeking around the corner, and Aaron does these thumbnails, and they're just amazing. They're so good. And but yeah, I didn't really want to get too deep into
the Andor ship. I didn't.
Yeah, the hauler. John dropping that little morsel, like he made a model for ILM or whatever.
Yeah.
Like what? How did? Like, give us the backstory on that one. How did that come about? Did they contact
guys? We're actually shooting the ships now. Now you can tune back in. Come on, we're not talking.
We're not talking about our sciatica. And...
I'm pretty sure what happened was he was contacted by somebody and asked to do a project.
That's fantastic.
And he made it and went to I don't know how much I can say, but he
you
probably
don't have to. That's fine.
Yeah. But
that's a story for that he could tell then.
I don't want to mess up the story either, but I just know that he made a piece that got put into ILM building, and he's really happy about that.
Showcase thing. Yeah, that is a feather in the cap for sure.
I wanted to point something out that I don't know that I just noticed the other day, that this looks very H.R. Geiger-ish, by the way. Right here.
I see it now. Now that you've pointed it out.
It wasn't intentional, so I just noticed it the other day.
Insertion going on there, right?
There's a lot, double insertion. So,
yeah. Note to self: add more vaginal details to the undersides of my model.
I wanted to
great.
I wanted to see this picture and show this picture because this turned out really nice.
That is lovely.
Yeah, and the fact that Lauren commented on it too was
so great.
Was great. Like, I get giddy when Bill and Lauren and John Goodson and I don't know. I don't think there's any others that I know of that have commented on the group. Yeah, but it makes me giddy when that happens. So especially,
it's like, you know, when the guy that made the thing, it's like,
yes.
You did a painting and Leonardo da Vinci like drops in and he's like, "Hey, good job." You're like, "Wait, what?" Like,
yeah, it's like that story that I told it before, but when Bill George, when I was showing Bill George the models, there was a bunch of people up in the room and we were all looking at my models, and I pulled out the Dornian and I showed it to him, and I put it on the bed and he's looking at it, and I was like, "That's the Dornian from Return of the Jedi." He's like, "Yeah, I know, I built it." I'm like,
right? Like, what?
What? Duh.
So great.
Yeah.
This blows my mind because this
is great. Yeah.
Yes.
This guy's slightly ahead of me. I'm like, wait, what? Like, it's fantastic. Like, there's a couple things that are different from the real one, but who cares?
Right.
Like, Brian and I have had endless conversations about the Rebel transport. Like, everyone is slightly different. You know, no truck is going to stack their boxes in their trailer the same way, you know, kind of thing. So there's a lot of leeway, but like, man, he is really doing.
Who is this? Stuff. I don't recognize his name.
I don't know.
I don't either. And if he listens or if anybody knows him, like, I would love to see more pictures. I think he's doing a great job.
Is he using? He's using Mike's shell, I think. And
It looks like,
yeah.
And
it is.
Yeah, and the plates.
But the riffing is good. Like,
yeah,
I mean, I'm going to be doing the same thing where I'm kind of using the high points and then riffing the rest. And I'm looking at this going, wow, this guy is doing some really, really nice riffing on this.
Yeah, it looks good.
I feel like in the next 30 days I'll be there, if not further. Like I think I did the last round of putty work, and I will sand it tomorrow. Hit it just the highlights with a little bit of primer.
I always have to highlight our one Star Trek poster.
Star Trek models are just so pretty, and
also this Voyager is like, how much can we cram into a Voyager model and accomplish in one model? It's amazing.
Yeah. And he was at Wonderfest,
and it seems like it's all cohesive, which is also saying something.
Yeah, he was at. Well, I met him at Wonderfest.
What did he have there last year?
I don't think he brought anything.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't think so.
We should, by the way, like, I'm just spitballing, and Jason, you can kick me later. I think we should try to do like a Nerf Herders meetup at some point, like just specifically, awesome. Right?
Yeah,
I think that I'd love that. I'm
okay. Weirdly, unrelated but related. I just got a text from someone while we've all been talking that they have a model and they need about a 3 foot by 2 foot space in our display area, and it's a professional like guy, and I'm super stoked, and I'm not going to give away what it is, but we're going to have some cool shit. Like, the magic's starting to happen. Like,
dude, I'm telling you, there are so many people telling me they're coming from Nerf Herders. Like,
Quincy is our like space wrangler, for lack of a better term. We need to start having more serious. We need to shoot up a couple more flares to get people to tell us what they're bringing and what size, if they want to. Like, we just want to make sure that we're not going to run out of room.
Right.
I don't think we will, and that's such a good problem to have. Also,
I think Hacker's coming. I think Felix is coming.
Yeah. I don't know if they're bringing anything because they're coming from Germany, which is
Germany. Graham Trotter was talking about coming.
Awesome.
Yeah. Where's my plushie? $5, dollar store. Knew it was going to get sacrificed.
Poor thing.
Yes. And John building this with his son.
Cool. Yeah, Sean House is coming. He's an announced guest. And I just want to let everyone know now. He is one of the coolest cats from ILM 3210 Kerner, and has incredible stories, and will be such a fun element at the show. I'm just so over the moon that Sean's coming.
I can't stress enough to people who are thinking of coming that, I mean, I've gone to a lot of conventions. Okay. This is not really a convention. Like,
I've never been to a con except Wonderfest. And so my idea of cons is so like wrong, I think.
Yeah. Con is like, you go to see vendors to buy stuff.
Yeah.
You're not coming here to buy stuff. You're coming here to meet people. You can, but like, for the most part, you're not gonna.
It's like an expo.
Yeah. But like,
I feel like Wonderfest is that rare opportunity for artisans and artists and fans of artisans and artists to all sort of mingle and have like a brain dump with each other. Like,
confirmed. Hacker and Felix are confirmed.
Hell yeah.
Sweet.
Nice.
Like, it's this very interesting mix of people who are all in love with the craft of making things and are participatory in the scene. Like, I feel like it's much more dynamic than just passively sitting in a hall,
yes,
listening to 5 people talk about the next movie that's coming out, which
right.
is fine, but that's just literally not what Wonderfest is.
No,
But it's also not like a super duper party thing.
Nope.
I know
Nope.
people have come recently that came more from, like Comic-Con, and I think they thought it was going to be like a more raucous. Like, I've never been to Dragon Con, but Dragon Con always struck me as like, man, those people can party. Like,
yeah, that's a
it's just
anime.
different.
Yeah, it's totally different. And
Yeah.
you're going to be sitting around just hanging out in the bar, outside in the hallway outside of the closed bar, and just with chairs pulled out of the bar talking to each other.
Very social, but
yes,
it's just different.
Yeah.
As a baseline, I'm always excited about building something. Wonderfest for me, in a lot of ways, there's so many different things to talk about, but like the 2 main things that Wonderfest does for me, like a force, that's so good. It's a goal to meet, so it's like a sort of like it's a kick in the pants, like, I got to get this shit done for Wonderfest. And my wife is just like, oh, it's going to be May soon. I'll be a Wonderfest widow for a couple weeks, because we're like, I'm going to build, Yep. And then I come back from it like I got so much energy and excitement.
Oh, this is the this is the one that Simmons
did,
right?
Yeah.
And he asked me, he's like, he asked Marvin and I, he's like he had ref, and he's like, should I do it like the ref? I'm like, no, you got to dirty it up. Well, I think both Marvin and I were like, no, you got to dirty it up. You got to make it look like a Simmons piece. You can't make it look like a ref piece. You've got to put your stamp on it, And he did. He blew it out of the water.
Yeah. And I'm sure they were completely excited.
Yes, they were. I'll let him come on and talk about it sometime if he can.
I want you should have a show where that's just that.
Yeah. I might. Nailing John down for a show is a tough thing sometimes because he's very busy. He's actually busy with home life and work life. So
good for him.
Yeah, he's quite active.
Yeah,
but like you said about cramming things in.
I'm a sucker for looking in a little space in a little keyhole and being rewarded with a vignette.
Yep.
Little peekaboos.
Yum, 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 yum. Yeah, god damn it. Yeah, the Trek guys, man, they get to. Is that like EL sheet lighting that up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that has
That's
to be.
What it looks like. It has that blue cast, which makes me think that versus the LED with the plexi.
Yeah, the EL sheet, that's kind of perfect for that because it's a diffused light. Like, I've noticed, like, a easy thing to do wrong is put so much light in a small area on your model where if it was to scale, everybody would be burned to death. It's just like, whoa.
I still got to figure out the lighting in my sail barge. Like, I want disco lights and I want white light up lights too. I want it to play Cantina music and Max Rebo.
You have an opportunity for a little party scene in there.
Oh, I'm going to. There's going to be all kinds.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
that's rare in Star Wars to have like like you said, a cantina.
Yeah,
like a little.
It's going to be a party boat.
Yeah.
Basically,
booze cruise.
Booze cruise, basically, yeah. Glorified booze
cruise. Holy shit!
And this,
love that.
Collect
them all.
A lot of
Look at that. Holy balls. That's so cool.
Yeah.
But those are like one that you were zoomed in on for a period of time, the Salzo build on the Death Star 2. I think Mike and I know Jason's talked to him about it. I've been fascinated because he's been chatting about this for a while, like how he was going to approach it. And he's been really thinking a lot about the engineering around this and how the weight distribution gets worked out. and I've been fascinated as thankfully as a friend to be sitting there listening in and talking to him about this build. It's a commission piece that has to be done in a certain time frame, so there are constraints around it. And but he's created these cast pieces that are, a bunch of textures, and he's stacking them and cutting them and doing things to create variation. And I am fascinated by this. And Jason, the shell was yours at one point. Is this 3 feet? Is that what the diameter is?
Yeah, they're studio scaled to Star Wars, to the other like 3 feet domes. They've been in my storage for like over 10 years. And I'm just so glad they're getting used.
Are those all like U channels and T channels? And
yeah, he basically built master plates that he would mold and cast so he can rearrange them. He's, like Brian said, he's been planning this for a long time, like very thoughtfully figuring out like how to maximize assets that he can mold, cast, cut up, reconfigure so that to the eye it looks, randomized, similar. Like I've noticed a lot of the 3D guys who build things like a Cloud City. It's unfortunate when you look at all the buildings
and they're all the same.
It's like a clone tool. Yeah, it's like the same 5 buildings of 1,000 times, and it's like that's not how the Cloud City wasn't like a depressing. It wasn't the projects, it wasn't council homes or whatever. Like it wasn't like just like very like.
It's beautiful Art Deco with lots of variation.
Yeah. So you need to have like texture to it, and Mike knows that intuitively about the Death Star. It's like if he made one thing or 3 things and just went pump 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 pump, your eye would see that
immediately,
and it would pull you out of it. So he's still stacking and moving things around. So it's really cool.
Really,
so think of them as like pizza slices, right? That he's making.
Well, and
they're
like
edge pizza slices.
And
putting them on his bandsaw.
And he's like, look, for the time that I have to build it, for the financial constraint, the time constraint, you have to like do this smartly. Like to build it like the way ILM built it, if you were a single person, you're talking it's realistically it's going to be years and an untold amount of money that you would never want to like keep track of, because it would depress you, because it was so much stuff thrown at it by so many people.
And let's talk about what he's doing real quick versus the ILM model. The ILM model was just a hemisphere, it wasn't a full sphere.
So it was, imagine that top flipped sideways and mounted to a board. Like that's how they did it.
Okay.
And lots of photo etch. So,
and that dental tape that actually I have some of, amazingly, that Lauren gave me, that Bill talks about. It's like really thin aluminum or steel, aluminum might be. It's a dental tape that like I guess you would wrap around a tooth or whatever. But they realized it was really great for like detailing and cutting up and stuff. And it comes like on a little spool. It's pretty cool. I'll post a picture of it. It's probably still available.
Yeah, post it in a group so we know.
Yeah, it's just I was given some leftover Return of the Jedi material.
Well, I think this is a good spot to end. We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes, and I want to talk about that Death Star stuff.
We don't want to talk about my back anymore, right?
No, we don't want to talk anymore. Listen, okay, I always have this thing. I always tell my wife, whenever I start talking about my health, that's when I need to get taken out. Yeah.
We need a safe word next time.
It's crutches next time.
You can just kick
Crutches.
me out. It's fine. Yeah.
Next time we'll do crutches. Okay.
No, but this was great because it was like a genuine hangout of what ours is. This was a genuine conversation with no agenda where we just got together and literally shoot the ships.
In my defense, this news is soul crushing, and I was only given it about 8 or 10 hours ago. So
yeah.
Oh, real quick as we're closing, Quincy points out, get your rooms for Wonderfest. A new block just opened.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you're on the edge on deciding or questioning whether or not to go, there are rooms available in this new block at Wonderfest. Get in on it.
If you've never been, stay at the hotel. Marvel at the awful carpet choices they made.
Yeah.
Marvel.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get really drunk and walk down the hallway. It will be a life-changing experience for you.
I watch people lift their legs like thinking that there was something there that wasn't.
It's a feature.
There's a little optical illusion there.
It's weird.
Yeah. They should have put the shining carpet down instead. That would have been much
right.
Better. Yeah. Right.
When we get older, we'll start meeting at the Cracker Barrel.
Oh God, Ben, come on.
Yeah.
Cracker Barrel. We're waiting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of people that from Nerf Herders. I really am. I'm a little worried that like I won't be able to, I don't want to upset somebody if I'm not like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk to everybody. You know what I mean? Like,
Chris,
it's so hard to talk to everybody.
My life, like everybody thinks I'm an asshole because I'm being pulled in 20 different directions and I can't.
Well, I did notice like I could like, when we were there, I could see like you are just like.
I'm the only one who can put out the fire apparently half the time.
You really did do your best to like try and talk.
Yeah. It's hard.
And slow down. It's very hard. It's very, very hard. It's like being at a wedding. Like people want your attention, and it's
look. It makes nothing makes Brian happier than seeing me spin out and get nervous that I'm not doing something right socially. So I mean, I have to give him I have to give him material for the rest of the year.
This year, I've got a playlist that I'm preparing for when those moments happen.
He literally
will be a soundtrack to your life.
He'll do a t-shirt run, and everybody shows up wearing t-shirts, and I'm like, he did one where it said staff, like it was like the Eaton collection and staff, and mine said dear leader, and he gave one to my wife and asked her what she wanted it to say, and she said staff.
Yeah.
I was like, and she wears it. Like we'll go hiking and she's wearing it, and I'm like, oh, motherfucker.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you up front. Like the table with the Last Supper thing, like that was a major joke. Like, and you didn't really know anything about it, but I could tell you before knowing you, okay.
Of course, you thought I was a fucking asshole.
Like most people thought
he knows you and he thinks that too.
Yeah.
Most people look at that and get the wrong impression. They really did.
That's my life. Like all
that
was a masterpiece model releases where it said RoboterConf approved. It's a joke.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times somebody was like, "That guy thinks he's Jesus," and I'm like, which was why we did the Last Supper thing as a take the piss kind of thing, and it just snowballs. And like I'm dumb enough to be like, haha, that's funny in the moment, and then I'm like, oh god, people are gonna think I'm an ass, and people think I'm an ass. Like, yeah.
Look, as your friend, I know that nothing gets under your skin more than when I do a t-shirt run that is really, it's all in fun, but also a little bit
yeah. I'm here for it. I mean, like nothing makes me happier than knowing that somebody is making me uncomfortable.
But like as an outsider, like because I didn't know you before Wonderfest, like I really didn't. Like we talked a few times, but not much.
Yeah.
But like when I saw that, I was like, that's a little weird. Like, but it was a big joke, and most people don't understand that. So hopefully people do now. Hopefully people will see that and understand.
But at the end of the day, I'm a clown.
It's Brian's fault, really. He's the one who makes it happen. So, right.
Oh, and by the way, I am representing
Royals.
Royals.
Oh, yeah. Dude, seriously, food down there is banging. Like,
By the way,
oh.
Dr. Azar thinks that he's off the hook. And here's my little message to you, Joe, because I know you're watching.
We have a T-shirt. Are we doing it?
You will be mine. You will be mine.
Are we doing the shirt?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love it.
Yeah, that'll be.
We're gonna get the whole group in on this one.
Oh Christ,
that'll be great.
There's like jokes within jokes going on.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's end the show. And I got a couple more minutes afterwards. I gotta go take care of some stuff, but I want to talk a little bit before I go. So, thanks for joining, everybody. I appreciate you all, and love seeing all your stuff on the group. And honestly, I look at everything, so I really do love seeing all the stuff that's being put up. It's inspiring a lot of times. You know, it's yeah. Please keep doing it. So
yes, more workbench Wednesdays. Oh my gosh,
workbench Wednesdays. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, I miss those. Yeah, I miss those. I haven't been able to participate much, but Workbench Wednesday has been great. So
is that tomorrow?
That is tomorrow.
I'll post something.
I don't think I'll have much tomorrow. So
I'll show primer.
Behold, right. My putty. Yeah.
Night, everybody.
Bye.
Good seeing you guys.
Bye.
Take care.